The 13th overall pick in the NBA draft, Devin Carter, was introduced to the Sacramento media today in a press conference. And afterwards, I got to spend a few minutes talking to the Kings rookie and his father, former Kings assistant coach, Anthony Carter. You'll hear from both of them. Plus, the Sacramento Kings are dark horse to land DeMar DeRozan. This offseason continues right here on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all offseason long. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs have now winded down, the NBA season is over. Sports just aren't sporting the way that we want them to right now, but that's okay because all summer long, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on to get started. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. This podcast is going to be a bit shorter and a bit different to the normal podcast. Why? I'm still standing by for some kind of Sacramento Kings move to be made, whether it's for Lauri Markkanen or Brandon Ingram or Kyle Kuzma or Cam Johnson or Dorian Finney-Smith or Zach LaVine or maybe now DeMar DeRozan, who's worked himself into the fold as of late. That is the newest development today in Kings offseason news and rumors. We'll discuss that towards the end of the podcast. But before that, I wanted to play for you the interviews that I did, one with new Kings rookie Devin Carter, and then his father, Anthony Carter, who used to be an assistant coach here in Sacramento. We're going to start with Devin. Now, I'm not playing for you his actual press conference where he and Monte McNair spoke to the media. To summarize, Monte didn't really say anything significant. He briefly mentioned and talked about the trade that sent Davion Mitchell and Sasha Vezenkov to Toronto, but didn't really say anything significant about that. Devin Carter's injured shoulder was brought up, and he was asked whether or not he was going to be participating in the California Classic this upcoming weekend. And they didn't give us an exact answer. Apparently, team doctors are going to take a look at his shoulder and make sure everything's okay. Nobody seemed too concerned about it, but they didn't commit to any kind of answer. Those were really the main takeaways from the press conference. And then I got the opportunity to sit down for about 4 minutes with Devin and get to know him a little bit, ask him some questions. I'm going to play that for you right now. And then on the other side, I'll share with you just my impressions of Devin, getting to know him and chat with him today, and just my overall takeaways from his press conference. But here's my conversation with Kings rookie Devin Carter. So Devin Carter, you're here. You arrived in Sacramento. Not your first time here. Obviously, you grew up here a little bit, but you were here not too long ago before getting drafted for a workout. Now you're here as a member of the Sacramento Kings. Has it sunk in yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think that just seeing everybody here today definitely made it a little bit better. Just seeing everybody coming out, asking questions and stuff, makes me excited. Just ready to work, ready to win some games, ready to get back in the playoffs, and hopefully bring a title to Sacramento.
A lot of lottery picks join teams that are trying to figure things out or get going. The Sacramento Kings have high expectations. You're joining a team that was just on the cusp of the playoffs. You talked a little bit in your press conference about wanting to make an immediate impact. In your mind, what does that look like for this team that's so close?
I think just being the two-way player that I am, I bring a lot to the offensive end and I bring a lot to the defensive end. So just doing that both ways, I think that, my toughness, my gritness, my willingness to not to lose. I don't want to win. I play not to lose. So it's a big difference in my head. You're going to do everything you can not to lose. So I just think that me bringing that to the table, and then obviously I think I could rub off on my teammates a little bit as well with that, just my competitiveness as well, challenging them and stuff. I think it's a great fit, match in heaven, honestly. So just looking forward to first practice and summer workouts and stuff, and just get ready to win.
Being in the NBA, you're joining an elite company of players. I don't need to go through the names, but some of those names are your teammates in De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Just knowing what you know about those games, I don't know how closely you followed their careers, but being able to work with them every single day? How excited are you for that opportunity?
I'm super excited. Obviously, they're both big-time players. De'Aaron Fox, great point guard, honestly. He gets the team in offense. He can create his own. Sabonis, probably best passer in the league, as a big, in my opinion. High IQ. I'm ready to play with them. Play alongside them. It'll just be great.
Sabonis is also the back-to-back rebounding champ here in the NBA, and rebounding is one of the big skill sets that you bring to the table, even as a 6'2" guard. I asked you a little bit about the rebounding aspect and why you enjoyed that part so much on draft night itself, but can you go into a little more detail about why you enjoy that part of the game and how you can help bring some of that responsibility off the shoulders of even your big man?
Yeah. For the most part, like when my players, like the person I'm guarding, they're getting back, they're not usually crashing, so I'll check to see if they're crashing. If they're not crashing, I'll grab the ball. I'll go in to try to grab the ball, but I watch the flight of the ball, so I kind of know where it's going before it hits the rim. And then, if I grab the rebound, I could kick it to the first person head, or if I don't like what I see, I push it up, try to catch the defense slacking, and just try to make a play as quick as possible before the defense gets set. So.
Finally, I don't remember who said it, so apologies to the analyst. Don't remember who said it, but someone said it's not 50-50 balls, it's 90-10 balls with Devin Carter. He gets to him 90% of the time. Where does that come from, kind of a hunger and tenacity for the loose ball? What do you enjoy so much about going for loose balls?
Well, I consider myself to be pretty fast, so, I just don't like to lose, man. I think that's the biggest part, If that one possession wins us the game, then I'm going to do it. You never know if that is going to happen, but I try to think that if this is the possession that we need to win the game. So I think that about every possession. So,
welcome to Sacramento, Devin. Thanks. Getting to know Devin and getting to talk to him there a little bit was a real treat. I appreciate him and the Sacramento Kings for allowing us to do that. My main takeaway from the press conference, in addition to Devin seeming like a fantastic young man, had all the right answers, very well put together, very polished. He's 22 years old, right? He does not sound like a rookie. He does not look like a rookie, which is probably one of the reasons why the Sacramento Kings are so excited to add him to this team, and hopefully he can make an immediate impact with this team. But my biggest takeaway from his press conference today was simple, and he said it a couple of times there in just our interview together. The dude hates to lose, right? He doesn't play to win. He plays not to lose. Now, when he said that initially in my brain, I was thinking, is that the right approach to have, right? Don't you want to go for the victory? But I understand what he's saying, right? He will do everything in his power to make sure he and his team do not lose, right? And it's not just the broad scheme of the game, right? Think about that on a defensive possession. He will do everything in his power so he does not lose a defensive possession. He does not get scored on. He does not get blown by. He does not get crossed up. He does not fail. He will fight and do whatever needs to be done in order to not lose every opportunity that he gets. He takes that personally. He takes that seriously. And in the NBA, when you play 82 times a year and offense typically gets more attention and you're paid more for the offensive end than you are on the defensive end, and defense is kind of overlooked, and defense is where the work comes in, and offense is kind of the skill. Like, that's a great mindset to have, and that's something valuable for the Sacramento Kings, right? If the Kings could have a roster full of guys like Devin Carter who refuse to lose and take it personally if they lose even a defensive possession, Sacramento's a better basketball team. So that was my major takeaway, is just how much, and he kept talking about, man, I hate losing. I'm not trying to lose. I'm a winner. I'm going to come in, make winning impact plays. I'm a two-way player. I can make an impact right away. It was exciting and encouraging to hear from the Sacramento Kings rookie. Now, we're also, in just a second, going to hear from Anthony Carter, who is the father of Devin Carter. And I'm excited for you to hear some of the things that Anthony had to say. Before we get to that, though, want to let you know that today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. I love sports so much, but this is the time of the year, right, that there's not a lot going on. No disrespect to baseball, right? Baseball's still going. I'm an Oakland A's fan, so watching the A's every day is a bit of a painful experience right now, and it has been a painful experience for a little while. But I still love sports. I don't want them to stop, and right now the sports just aren't sporting the way that I want them to, right? And I know I'm not alone in that. Well, the good news is FanDuel lets me keep that sporting fix going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up any bet I want anytime I am in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily, right? Every single day, there's something for everyone all summer long. It could be different, could be unique to your style, could be more broad, could be based around a game, based around a player. It could be open season, right? There's so many different things that FanDuel is adding every single day to keep you coming back and ultimately help you kill these days until we get through to the beginning of training camp and the start of the NBA season, or even the start of football season before that. Head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel is an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. As usual, the family and parents of the Kings draft selection were there to celebrate their son and their kid making his NBA dream come true and having his introductory press conference. And Devin Carter's dad is not a stranger to Sacramento. Anthony Carter, not only is a former NBA player, he was an assistant coach with the Sacramento Kings in the 2015-2016 season. He wasn't here for very long. During that time, Devin was a young man playing. They lived up in Roseville, which is close to where I live, and he would play YBA and club ball over at Hardwood Palace, which is the same place that De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk just held their basketball camps. If you're from Roseville, you know what the Hardwood Palace is. Hell, I grew up playing games and going to camps myself at the Hardwood Palace. So there's some familiarity with Sacramento. So I got the chance to steal a few minutes of Anthony Carter's time as well. Just fired off 3 quick questions to kind of get his perspective on his son and who Sacramento is getting in Devin Carter, and who better to hear that question, not just from a basketball mind like Anthony Carter, who also, by the way, is an assistant coach with the Memphis Grizzlies, but from someone who knows Devin better than any of us could possibly know him, right? Here is Anthony Carter. I'm sure you've been asked a million times already about being a proud father, proud parent, but from the coaching perspective, watching Devin's development to get to this moment, how satisfying is that with the coaching eye of his development?
It's been very, very, very appreciative, just knowing like what he's done and how much hard work he put in, and just the way he approaches everything, on and off the court. He's been doing it for a while. I guess watching me, he approached every situation as a pro, with the fans and media. He's not too good for nobody. And just watching it from a father standpoint, it's just a blessing to be able to raise a good kid like him that cares about other people and not just the basketball side.
He just credited you for teaching him a lot on the defensive end, but also I'm sure as a player to be this successful, you have to have some of those things that you can't teach, right? What are some of those things that he has that you can't teach?
The offensive stuff. He's a better shooter than what I was. And like I said, you can't teach people how to treat people. And you have to be willing to do that stuff. I've had people come up to me telling me how he'll take his shoes off his feet, sign him for a little kid, stop and take pictures and things like that. But you can't teach winning plays. Devin make winning plays. Like if it's rebounding, you need rebounding, he's going to do that. You need scoring, he can do that. You need him to guard the best player. He's not too shy or to have too much pride to go out and take that challenge on the best player. So anything that you need out of him, he's willing to go do it.
Kings GM Monte McNair has told us a lot about who Devin is as a player and why they were so interested, but you have an even more unique perspective in watching him grow. What is Sacramento? What are the Kings getting as a player?
They getting a winning player. He's going to sacrifice his body. He doesn't care if it's not broken, torn, he's going to be out there. He's not one of them kids or one of them players that's going to take nights off. If he feel like he can go, he'll take a couple of Advils, or if he got to get a shot or whatever for him to go out there and play, he's going to go out there and do it and sacrifice, his body. And that's where he's been. Middle school, high school, college, he never likes to sit out of games. And anything that's hurting, like I said, if it's not broken or torn or whatever, he's going to be out there. He's got his teammates back, the organization, the coaches. He just want to win and go out there and play basketball. I
appreciate Mr. Carter for spending the time there to chat with me about his boy, his son. It's cool to get the coaching perspective as well as the parent perspective, right? He obviously knows Devin intimately, knows who Devin is all the way down to the core of who he is as a person. And to hear Anthony talk about how Devin is selfless, right? That he always makes time for everybody, how great he is with the fans. And Devin has already talked about how much he appreciates the fan base and many Kings fans showing up to welcome him at the Sacramento International Airport either yesterday or over the weekend. Just to hear the father tell us who the Kings are getting as a human being as well as a player, right? He's not afraid to make sacrifices. He's going to fight through pain. He's going to fight through injuries, although hopefully not to his own detriment, right? We want everybody to be safe, but for him to be able to put everything out there and put it all on the line to help his Sacramento Kings team win and represent this city and represent the team and give the Kings the best chance possible to win a basketball game. I mean, no wonder Monte McNair and the Kings front office think so highly of this young man. So it was really, really cool to hear that perspective from his father. And I asked Devin during the press conference, again, you can go and check that out on abc10.com. The full press conference is available there. It's up on YouTube as well. I asked Devin where that defensive tenacity that he has comes from. And he said, my dad is the one that taught me all of that and ingrained it into me to give my all on the defensive end of the floor. So congratulations to Anthony. Did a fantastic job, obviously, raising Devin. And now both are in the NBA, right? Anthony is coaching in Memphis. Devin is playing here in Sacramento. So it was cool to spend that time. Still have to talk about DeMar DeRozan. Yes, another name that the Kings have worked themselves into the fray with. We'll do that here in just a second. Apparently, Mark Spears said today that the Kings are a dark horse team to land DeMar DeRozan. Now, if you missed my podcast yesterday, where I did my best to explain why the Sacramento Kings have not made a big move yet. They're involved in so many different rumors, so many different trade conversations, but they haven't pulled the trigger yet. I know that has scared many Kings fans who have sat through back-to-back trade deadlines and last offseason where Monty hasn't really done anything other than some minor moves like Sasha or Kessler Edwards or Chris Duarte or whatever. If you're skeptical about whether or not Monty's going to be able to close any of these deals that we've heard discussed and rumored, I understand that completely. During my explanation on that podcast, I mentioned that patience is the name of the game for Monty, right? And that he doesn't want to jump the gun on something too quickly unless it requires quick movement, because you never know what's going to become available in the future, right? Over the weekend, it was, hey, Brandon Ingram, right? The Kings are interested in Brandon Ingram. Then yesterday, oh my gosh, Lauri Markkanen's potentially available. The Kings are getting involved in the Lauri Markkanen conversation. Now today it's DeMar DeRozan is a free agent, so it's different than the normal trade talks, but the Sacramento Kings are a dark horse team to make a move to try and go out and get DeMar DeRozan. The situation is fluid, right? Things are always changing, and Monte McNair wants to put himself in the best position possible to strike and make whatever moves necessary to put this team in the best position. Now, it's one thing to say that. It's another thing completely to do it, of course. But now you have this situation where maybe, just maybe, the route for Sacramento might be going with DeMar DeRozan. And I love this option in a lot of ways for Sacramento. Now, I have no idea what kind of money he's going to command on the open market, but DeMar DeRozan is a very smart, savvy, go-to scoring veteran, right? He's going to hold down that small forward position so you can play Keegan Murray at the 4. Averaged 24 points for the Chicago Bulls last season, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, a super efficient 48% field goal shooter. He is a mid-range merchant, right? He gets to that mid-range jumper, he knocks them down. The only concern, I guess, on the offensive end is that he's not the best of three-point shooters. He shot 33% last season, but he's a career 29% three-point shooter. The volume is okay. He averaged 2.8 three-pointers a game last season, which is his second highest in his career. So he was shooting a little bit more on the perimeter for the Chicago Bulls, but he's not necessarily known for his floor spacing and his three-point shot. That could be concerning. But what he gives you is he gives you an option, another go-to scorer, somebody, whether it's in crunch time or just through the flow of the game. If De'Aaron doesn't have it, or if De'Aaron needs to take some plays off, or whatever the case may be, he's another guy that can go out and get you a bucket. Again, I don't know how much he's going to cost. And again, the Sacramento Kings only have so much wiggle room financially. They're $7 million-ish under the salary, luxury tax. and just shy of $15 million under the first apron. I don't know if DeMar DeRozan would go for less than $15 million a year, or maybe the Sacramento Kings look to do another salary dump move to open up a little more space to try and go get DeMar DeRozan. Maybe they could try and target him in a Chicago Bulls sign and trade if that's an option. Although that probably is a bit unlikely. DeMar DeRozan makes sense as a target for the Sacramento Kings. I don't know if he's at the top of the list. Once again, this is an example of, hey, the Kings are putting themselves in a position to have conversations with multiple guys and have multiple options and ultimately decide what's the best one for them. So now I ask you, where does DeMar DeRozan fall on your list, right? I mean, the names that we've got DeRozan, Markkanen, Kuzma, we have Brandon Ingram, we have Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith, we've got Zach LaVine. Like, there are so many names that the Sacramento Kings have been connected to or have expressed interest in over the course of this offseason so far. A move doesn't necessarily have to be made today, but it can happen at any time. And of course, if those moves happen, even if it's later today, I will record another podcast and throw this one to the wayside a little bit. But anything could happen at any given time, and the Kings are putting themselves in different situations and giving themselves options. So what is your power rankings of potential acquisitions? Of course it matters what the Kings give up in these conversations, but if ideally you could rank these guys in order of, I want the Kings to go and get that guy to the guy that you want the Kings to go out and get the least, let me know what that is. You can hit me up on Twitter at MattGeorgeSack, email me mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, and of course, leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. Again, a bit of a shorter podcast than normal. Today, I'm preparing myself for an emergency episode that is coming very, very soon. We'll see if anything happens. We're getting ready for the California Classic this weekend, so no matter what happens, we'll have some Kings freaking basketball coming this weekend in Sacramento inside the Golden One Center. So excited about that. Also have more guests coming, trying to get a coach, probably an assistant coach from Providence, to talk a little bit more about Devin Carter and his time as a Friar before he got drafted. Got a lot of great stuff coming, including, of course, more coverage on the Kings free agency / trade hunts. And a deal is going to get done. Like, I feel so confident in telling you a deal is going to get done. You can be skeptical. You don't have to necessarily believe me, but the Kings are just putting themselves in so many positions to where they're finding the right deal, but a deal will get done. I'm very confident in that. And when it happens, we'll cover it and got it all for you right here on the Locked On Kings podcast. Appreciate your support. Can't wait to have you join me on the next episode. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to Locked On Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.